And welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Factorio in the Pyanodons mod. This is the beginning of the 7th day of streaming the game. Since the last one, I have added one additional mod, which is the inserter throughput mod, just so we can see at a sort of a glance what the throughput on the inserters is. In theory, I only have one, so I could have just memorized it, and to a certain degree, that's kind of what I've been doing until this point. But that way we can have a little bit better of an understanding of how much throughput I actually have on the inserters going forward. If you're watching on YouTube, we are going to have probably a jump cut in a moment to completing the first project. Right now, my plan at the beginning of this stream here is I'm going to make a process to make reinforced concrete. Technically, I have a little bit of one for concrete. We're going to do a little bit of reinforced concrete just so we can get the new type of furnace going, the gas furnace. I think on Reddit I wrote this as liquid furnace. It might have confused someone who was responding to it. But we're going to do the gas furnace. It's about 4 times faster than the stone furnace and the advanced furnaces. And I'm going to combine that with the Kerogen to shale oil process to save on some fuel here. So I can actually go and do very, very quickly the math here and show what sort of difference that's going to make. Let's put this over to shale oil. Here's the shale oil. And then obviously we can then make the shale oil by that recipe, which of course uses steam. It doesn't really matter where we're getting the steam from, just that we're getting the steam. So, for 13 and a half Kerogen, we can make about a half a belt of coal. I've got 2 belts of Kerogen I actually need to go through, so we should be able to make enough to make a whole belt of iron plate, which is kind of the goal there. That's the plan. So if you're watching on YouTube, we'll have a jump cut. I'll be back when I have the refined concrete ready to start making gas furnaces. And as you can see here, I'm probably only going to need like 22, 24 gas furnaces. And I suppose future editor me, if he wants to, I might not put this in. But if you're watching this on YouTube at this point, and you're watching it on the highlight stream, I did decide to put in. I've done a little bit of spaghetti to sort of add to our existing concrete maker the ability to make refined concrete. So we're making refined concrete now. Not particularly fast, but we're making refined concrete. We'll probably have another jump cut back when we're got the next bit of the base built. I think next time it's going to be setting some more iron. That'll actually get a little bit complicated, so it'll be a bit of a jump here. At least a bit of a longer jump than this was. Well, if Editor Me has probably done YouTube jump cut for the highlights, we're back in highlight time for YouTube. So we're doing the build review of the new improved iron setup. So we've got the iron mine here. It's actually a little small for requirements. It should really be 5 bolts. It's like well, it's 1/2 of a mining drill short of correct. It's close enough. That 5 belts comes in here, and we're crushing them in the jar crushers to make the refined, or the processed ore, because that's better to smelt, and making as a byproduct a belt of stone. We take that refined processed ore into these new fancy gas furnaces, which are, as you can see there, 4 times as fast as old stone furnaces. And because they're gas instead of burning solid fuel, I don't have to deal with ash. They're about the same energy efficiency as the old advanced foundries, the electric furnaces. So this isn't really saving me power, but this is saving me the effort of having to drive electrical power out here. And this is fairly easy to make. I'm basically taking kerogen and turning it into shale oil to power this. Which I suppose, if you're watching on YouTube, we're going to have a short jump cut, and that's going to what we're reviewing in next. Okay, I think we're back from the jump cut on YouTube for the highlights. So over here, we're doing shale oil. So that's taking kerogen, so I'm sort of taking kerogen out from over here. Trying to unload the old stuff first. We're taking kerogen plus steam. Becomes shale oil. Shale oil eventually we're going to use for other applications besides powering those furnaces over there, and for that application it needs to be shale oil. So I've got a double tank here with 2 overflow valves. One is so that we can save and prioritize shale oil to shale oil only applications. The second one is for things where if I'm legitimately constantly running out, I can replace it with something else. So, for example, right now we're piping it off to be burnt in the furnaces, and then have an overflow into a sinkhole just so I don't have to run out. I suppose this is a good place for Editor Me to do the edit jump cut in for highlights. If you're watching this on YouTube highlights, but we've been doing a lot of work since the last one. It was a big jump. I was noticing as this was running that we were struggling, not necessarily with power, but mostly with steam. So I've gone ahead and built a new coal deposit mine, or coal mine area. Obviously not using all of it because I just don't have enough consumption on belt standpoint to use it. Threw a balancer into 8 boiler stacks that then goes through another balancer into ash processing. This way I can produce more steam, and of course now that I've done that I have more steam than I need, which is a good thing. But that's basically what we've been doing for the last 2 to 3 hours, is making more steam. But now the shale oil is coming in reliably, and I think the only thing... Well, I've got lots of things to do, but you can see this is all backed up. I need to sort out the stone. Basically need to sort out the stone consumption so that this runs better, because as you see, it's not running. Which kind of means I'm actually wasting the shale oil right now, because I've got a drain on it so the stone production works properly. But yeah, so that's the build highlight for this part. If you're watching on YouTube, there probably won't be another highlight in this highlight video from this day. The next highlight will probably be from the next day, because I'm mostly going to do some calculations on the next 2 things I'm thinking of building. And I don't show the calculations in the highlight video. So I hope you've been enjoying today's highlights. You'll presumably have a video that continues on into tomorrow's highlights if you're watching on YouTube. And with that, if you're watching on Twitch, I am not quite done for today, but we are probably actually done doing most of the building. We're going to do some calculations here. So, opening the factory planner. I think it is time to think about automation science back. And simple circuit boards. Mainly making more. So right now, right now, this is kind of what we're running. 1 burner assembler machine to do this. I think I want more. We wouldn't be using more. In fact, we're not even using this. So there's maybe an argument that I don't, this would be overbuilding, preemptively building, for getting other stuff working. I suppose, actually, the reason I'm thinking of doing this is I want something wanted planter boxes. What was the other thing that wanted, planter boxes? Trees, the botanical nursery wanted planter boxes. And trees and stuff. So I probably want to make some, at least do some planter boxes, do it up to planter boxes, if not up to automation science packs. What I want to calculate here. But yeah, so I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and take this up slightly larger size, let's say. Right now we're doing 0.2. Let's... I'm going to resist the urge to make this way too big. And I'm going to say, I want 1. 1. So 5, 4, 2, 3.2. This is where we're going to change the recipe. So right now we're making logs via the most boring and simple recipe. Tree seedlings in a fast food forestry makes 3 logs. Actually, I think technically we're doing the one with water. I did a little bit fancier, we added water. I think it's time to process some more ash. Swap the ash one. So right now we're eating, or we'd be expecting to eat 0.6 tree seedlings a second, which is causing us to require, what would require us to have 1 moss per second. Swap that recipe, this one, it actually reduces the moss needed to 0.6. Is the toss off between those two. It's still only like 4 ash a second, so that's pretty small. I can work with that. Yeah, so I think that's what we're gonna do. So that's one thing we're gonna do when we come in tomorrow on the next stream day. And then I can divert the planter boxes to build the botanical nurseries and stuff. This setup does need 3 botanical nurseries to set up, but we can handcraft a couple of those. That won't be too bad. Then the other thing we want to do is simple circuit boards. This is maybe another one of those where I'm like, I need to resist going too big to start. Especially because we're going to get better recipes. For example, there's a better simple circuit board battery alternative to the copper zinc batteries here. So I don't necessarily want to go too big. At the same time, I need to build something that is actually worth having not hand-fed. So bigger than this is a good place to start. Bigger than this. So I'm thinking at least going a full chip shooter. So let's say that would be 0.6 instead of 0.2. 0.8? 0.8. That means we need 3 electronics factories on that, 3 on that, 1 on that, 1 on that. And this is going to be before we even get on the bus. Right, yeah, technically ceramics and air core conductors are on the bus, but we're going to probably do these separate from the bus. Need this setup. Need some clay pits, need some steam. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the steam recipe, because we've got them, basically got that on tap in the base. That's doable. That's pretty doable. That's doable. That's reasonably doable. And then we'll do this also. Swap this one also to change the recipe here. Add a recipe below, swap to the new one. There we go. It's a bigger setup, needs much more wood. 15, 16 botanical nurseries, 340 fastwood forestries. But yeah, other than the washers and the fastwood forestries, nothing here super intimidating. It's mainly the fast-food forestries that are going to be intimidating when we set this up. But yeah, I think this is the other thing we're probably going to set up tomorrow is a whole lot more simple circuit boards. 0.8 a second. Catching some of Twitch comments. Is 1 automation second per science? You madman. Yeah, that's probably a bit mad. That's not very big, but it's a step. It's a step that is not going to happen because we don't have the science to support that. But yeah. One automation science per second. Mainly for the supporting stuff because I need the planter boxes. I don't actually need the automation science back so much, but the rest is pretty doable. And then Twitch chat saying, don't forget your tree modules. Tree module. Ah, yes, because I added you in, so I need to tell you to have tree modules. I'm gonna click the right one here. This one. Add module. Tree. Basic tree, because I don't have any fancy trees. 5.3, okay, that's a lot more manageable, and that's gonna be the same sort of thing down here. 31, much more manageable. And then, also you have the turd sawmill selected instead of the regular version. Do I have the turd sawmill selected instead of the regular version? I do, apparently. Okay. Yeah, so one machine there. Oh, that one's still on the wrong one. Thank you for pointing that out, Twitch. I would not have noticed. I would have just overbuilt sawmills. But yeah, that works. Yeah, with the modules in, they look a lot better. Suppose, do I have the moss generation in here? This one I don't. This one I do. I have an alternate recipe for the moss, don't I? Yeah, we should be doing the ultimate recipe for the moss at this point as well. Add a recipe below that recipe. And of course that's going to need modules as well, before I forget, because Twitch chat's reminded me. Anyway, if we compare what that difference is there, that's the difference between 8.3 and 3.3. And it needs a little bit of stone, and I need some consumption of stone. Same sort of thing is going to be down here, although I didn't actually put the moss in this one. Twitch chat saying, don't want you to create massive arrays of hundreds of forests and sawmills for nothing. Yeah, thanks, Twitch. Thanks, Twitch chat, for reminding me. Anyway, that's definitely still 20 moss for farms because of how slow the farms are. But yeah. So I got a rough plan for next time. I suppose at some point I have to actually pick my turds. Got the turds. I think I've got the turds researched. I haven't picked them. Sidebook. There we go. Where's the turds that I have but haven't picked? There they are. So I got to at some point pick my fast-food forestry and my moon drops. Feed them in, I think it's feed them in copper ore. Depending upon where, that actually makes them easier. So I might be tempted to copper ore. Some people have suggested CO2. This one's just adding a lamp. And then fastwood forestry, we've got a couple different options up here. Sticks, wood chips, and leaves to fuel the internal burner. The burner will generate part of the electricity consumed by the building, increasing speed and output. The hungry trees will require more ash to grow, though. It doubles the ash consumption. It makes it faster and consume less energy because it's got this internal burner, replacing one of the module slots. So I think how that works. Or we can just do selective cutting heads, which just makes twice the amount of wood for the logs. That's probably the simplest to implement. And this is one of the reasons I've held off picking, is because I'm not sure how much I care about biomass and fiber, because that might make sense to do if you want biomass and fiber. 10 to 2 instead it becomes 10 to 8, but then you have to deal with the biomass and fiber, so if you've got a plan for the biomass and fiber, that makes a lot of sense. If you don't, then it's a big pain. Which is why I haven't picked these. These are choices I've got to think about picking. But I have decision paralysis apparently with these. Sort of the basic recipes, and I'm not fancy enough to think of the bigger ones. But yeah, looking at the time, I think this is a good place to put a part break in. We've done the math for the next 2 builds that we're going to do next time. Next build is build this out, which is effectively 5 times bigger than what we currently have. And I might, once I've got this built out, might actually finally bring the old one offline, the OG one. Because at that point it's redundant. And this will be closer to the new base, so that I can steal the planter boxes for the bus. Or, well, if it's not being used, have it redirected on the bus, so I can do building with it. And then the simple circuit board here. This is obviously fairly complicated. This also wants to be pretty much closer to the base, the main base, the new main bus. Although this is big enough, it could probably be straddling between the old base and the new base, and still not have enough space. Especially with 31 fast forestry components in it. But yeah, so I got my building plans for next time. I suppose before I forget, let's go ahead and we'll be wanting to make more concrete, reinforced concrete, so I'm not going to remove that. But we are going to go add to the top. So next time we're going to be making new automation slants and simple circuit boards. The first time Twitch share said, I took 1 or 2 and just avoided turrets for a few hundred hours. Just too much to think of. Yeah. Especially when they're presenting you with good options. It's a lot to think about. Have I taken any of my turrets? I know there's more. I have selected none of my turrets. I've got 3 of them researched. I haven't picked any of them. There's good choices, like, hey, if you want the CO2, that's great. If you want the methane, or want more methane, that's good. Because you're adding the light bulb in at that point. If you just want to add copper to make the recipe more productive, faster, and in the later ones, simpler. That makes so much sense. But then the question is, which of the three, or if you're going to pick and then change your choice later, are you willing to pay the extra cost to do the swap? A lot to think about. Right now, I'm thinking tossing up between these two. I don't know what I'm going to do with biomass and fiber yet. I suppose I could burn the biomass and fiber, but then that just complicates other stuff. Twitch chat saying I'm already raising Augs, and I still haven't chosen any turds yet. People, there's a whole group of people that just get stuck with choice paralysis. You give them a choice, and it's like, I can't make the choice. I understand that feeling. Was it you that required biomass? Yeah, the fish was required biomass. So maybe if I get into fish, I might go for the biomass option. So I've got an alternative, or got a place to spend the biomass. It isn't just burning it, although it probably will end up burning it as well. That's the route I go down. Fiber's also pretty dense energy fuel. Yeah, fiber is also 8 megajoule fuel and doesn't normally unlock until logistics science pack. So that's part of probably what's making it complicated to decide whether or not I want to go with the fiber one, is because I have no idea what fiber is used in. Because it's usually not available this early. So composting, composted into probably biomass. So that gives me more biomass. I just compost into biomass via the composting plant. That's not too far off. Not fiber word, that's not where that comes in. Kill caulks. I think it says raw fiber. I'm trying to map the regular fiber where that comes in. There we go. You filter the raw fiber to fiber and biomass in the ball mill, and then you do stuff with it, presumably. Microfiber. The microfiber goes in the filtration, and then use the filtration media for various filtrations. Okay. Wastewater into methanol. Okay. Twitch chat saying, I'm trying to catch up with Twitch chat comments, so I'm looking away from the screen. Biomass is also used for the biomass power plant. The extra wood was my choice, and I'm loving it. Big old field of forestry powering my trains. Fiber is one of those things you need more of later, but you also have kill caulks for it later. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was one of those scenarios where it's like, yeah, the fiber is definitely going to get used. The question is, how soon, and do you want to do it the default way, or do you want to do it via the turd? Because right, if you're going for the biomass and the fiber here, like that's probably a pretty good source of biomass and fiber. Honestly, it's also just a really good source of extra raw fiber. That's one of the bottlenecks and one of the chains converting wood into fiber. Whereas just double wood from the logs is not bad. One of the chat saying they chose the, I think they chose the extra wood is what they were implying, not the dry storage. Although maybe they were implying the dry storage and I was getting fuzzed. But yeah, this is something I gotta think about. Because this is also going to rejiggle the balance, right? Because if we do this chance now, I'm going to filter out the biomass and the fiber and use it elsewhere. This one's actually, this is probably the simplest choice, right? It's if you want to keep it simple, you do this one because it's just like, yeah, twice the wood. And then the Twitch chat says that the extra wood is my choice and he's loving it as he's only just started using fiber. So yeah, and by fiber I assume he means fiber, not the raw fiber. He's used the raw fiber pretty early, but the fiber is 2 techs past where I am, I think. Or is it only 1 tech to past where I am? Well, basically 1.5 tech tiers past where I am. So, yeah, I can totally see, like, yeah, the fiber. The thing that's making that choice hard is, do you want the fiber that you're not going to use as a resource besides burning it for, like, a tech tier and a half, not 2. But yeah, I think this is where we're going to bring the stream to a close. Let me go over the schedule for the next couple days so that Twitch has an idea of what we're streaming and when we'll be back to play this. So the plan right now is that I will be streaming this game, Factorio, this run of Factorio again in 4 days. But between then and now, tomorrow is going to be Solar Nations 2. We're going to see if we can keep that red Mars together and unified and not have a rebellion, or at least control the rebellion and not like lose to the rebellion. So that'll be Friday. Saturday is going to be Beyond Mars, or it's going to be Solar Expanse. So we're going Solar Nations 2 into Solar Expanse on Saturday. Solar Expanse, we're continuing from where we left off. We've arrived at Mars, and we're doing stuff on Mars. We're now going to see if we can move beyond Mars and sort of go off to the Jovians and the asteroid belt a little bit more. Because if we can, that'll get us going faster in science. The Jovians are also got pretty good access to hydrogen, which is what we're running all the fission ships propellant off of. And Sunday, so we're looking, Friday will be Solar Nations, Saturday will be Solar Expanse, Sunday will be Songs of Six. We're going to see where we get during that stream in Songs of Six. That may be, if we're not really growing anymore, that might be the last stream I do of that city. At the end of last stream, I was feeling a bit stagnant in size. Whether we are or not is maybe up for debate. We'll see if a more Wake Me on Sunday is going to be doing Songs 6 better. And then next Monday, so 4 days from now, we'll be back to Factorio Pi. So that's the upcoming 4-day stream schedule. Solar Nations 2, Solar Expanse, Songs of 6, and then Factorio coming up on next Monday. So I hope everyone has been enjoying, whether you're watching live or later on YouTube. Although I suppose if you're watching this live on YouTube, you're watching the unedited version because this is not going to end up in the highlighted stream. And in the non-highlighted stream, this is, or the 5x stream, this is going to be at 5x. So this is maybe not going to be the most understandable portion of the stream as a side effect. But yeah, I hope everyone has been enjoying. I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part and or stream. And if you're watching on YouTube, bye for now.